Okay, so Sutonia here. I just want to make a quick commentary about the Heron and mobile depots in general. So I was looking at the Raptor and trying to make a good fit for it. The Raptor is really bad. It loses to the Crusader at all ranges, loses to Tyrannus at all ranges. There's no point to fly a Raptor, but I figured, maybe everyone would engage a Raptor. But then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to fly a Raptor, I'm going to fly a Heron instead. And actually kind of impressed by the Heron. So the Heron has 5 mid slots, which is pretty important actually. Is that it's the only T1 frigate in the game that has 5 mids. No other frigate has 5 mids. Well, the Helios and the Buzzard have 5 mid slots, but they're Tech 2 covered op ships, and they can't really do what the Heron does. So the Heron also has a very large cargo bay, and what I thought is I would combine this with mobile depots. I don't actually have a mobile depot in this Heron right now because I dropped it in space. But what I do is I carry alternative fits, because the Heron has 5 mids, or essentially 4 because I've got this medium auxiliary shield booster, which is part of the fit. Is that you can always have range control on someone as long as you fit for them. So I have an afterburner which I can swap for the micro warp drive that I've got here. I also have an extra tracking disruptor just in case. There might be some ships that I can engage with an extra tracking disruptor that are slow. And I also have a spare web as well. And stabs just in case want to run a camp or something. So, speaking about the Heron, it's pretty interesting is it actually does reasonable DPS. So the plan with this Heron really is you carry a few mobile depots, you warp around, people see a Heron, they're going to think that you're an explorer or it's not really a PvP ship. I think a lot of people are very eager to engage the Heron. So because of that, a lot of people are just going to straight up engage you, and what you do is you can drop a mobile depot once you see what they're in. So let's say a Tyrannus, you can swap to afterburner and just fit yourself basically to kite him and control him. And I think the Heron actually is a lot more engageable to the average person than the Raptor is. So let's look at some fights with the Heron of Doom. So in this fight, there was an Atron on the other side of the gate, so I jumped through and re-approached. But then I see local goes up by 1 and another Atron comes in. So I leave, because I can't really deal with 2 Atrons in this Heron, I can only control 1. And I come back to the gate, and there's now a Dremio on the gate, and I don't go for the Atron initially because I was seeing where the other Atron was, because I knew he was in system on the directional scanner. But when the Atron landed back on the gate, I know they're 100 kilometers apart. I mean, the Dremio is pretty fast, you can go 5 kilometers a second, but I'm pretty confident I can kill this Atron in that time. And the Atron actually works out to be sort of a max damage fit, so I'm able to kill him and walk off before the Dremio gets on top of me. And I keep roaming into a mining pocket, and I was trolling in local a bit as well, saying oh, someone keeps stealing all the sides, and after that, and I land on the gate with a malediction, and he jumps, so I jump and hold my cloak a little bit to try to pretend I'm scared of him, and then he aggresses me. In a fight against the malediction, obviously he has superior range over me, because the rockets are going to hit me all the time in scram range. I just want to get on top of him as fast as possible. I don't think I'm going to be able to mitigate any of his damage in a Heron, because it has such a huge signature radius. And luckily, he doesn't really try to control me, even though I'm slower than him. He just sort of approaches me, and what the malediction should have done is try and kite me as long as possible. And he might have you know, my Warrior 2s aren't going to do that much damage to him because he has explosive resistance. I know the interceptor bonus isn't that high. So after killing the Malediction, I walked to station, and I know there's a Crow in system, and there was also a Vexer as well. And an Ares undogs as soon as I sort of land on grid on the station, and then he just kind of burns for me. So I'm a bit hesitant about engaging at first, but then he sort of just burns in, so I go for it. And his friend in the Crow lands, but fortunately for me, he lands very 125 kilometers away. He whoops to the station at 50, I think. I think he came at a different angle when he was trying to land on top of me or something, but he went to the wrong celestial or something like that, because I came from a moon, then walked in minus 50. Yeah, I'm able to kill this this Ares before the Crow gets in, and I walk to the sun. And now an Omen undogs, and sorry, a Vexer undogs, and an Omen warps in. So now I walk to the sun, and what I'm hoping here is I hope that the Crow follows me to 0, and that I can kill him, which is actually what ends up happening. So they actually get really excited here. The Crow's following me. What I'm hoping is a lot of Crows are long range fit with, you know, Micro Warp Drive and Disruptor and speed mods in the lows, and they don't really do that much damage, and they're pretty easy to kill if you have a scram on them. But this Crow is actually a rocket Crow, and he's actually really well fit. He's dual prop with a damage control, small armor rep, and ballistic control, and he also has damage rig. So this Crow actually does a lot of damage, and this Crow actually does what the Malediction should have done, and he kites me. He stays at 5 kilometers. One of the things is I shouldn't have been using the tracking disruptor on him. It's just wasting cap basically, although I don't need it for anything anyway. And then the Vexer comes in, and I basically just get one shot by his drones. Yeah, so I die, I get sent back to the station. I get a new Heron, and I start roaming again. And I actually come back to the same area because I want to refight that Crow. But what I do is I refit. So this is sort of in the same area, and what I do is I refit to Afterburner double web, and that's so he won't have range control on me. So I walk to a gate, and the Crow's there. So I jump, and I hope he's going to attack me on the other side. I mean, he killed me pretty easily last time, but pretty severe mistake here by me is that I actually forget to launch my drones in this fight, which is really bad. So now that I'm sort of fit for him, it's a lot closer because he can't kite me, because I've got an extra web than before, and also have Afterburner. So compared to him, he has AB Scram Web, I have an extra web over him. That's one of the strengths of the Heron, having 5 mids. So he can't kite me anymore, and I tried to get on top of him. One of the things I think, I don't know, is debatable is whether or not I should have tried to keep my speed up more. But the thing is, I don't want to ruin my tracking. And so yeah, as you can see, I don't launch my drones, which is really stupid. And right now my speed's really low. I figure that I just want to try and stay on top of him as much as possible, rather than worry about, you know, orbiting, because I don't want to hurt my own tracking. That's sort of my thought process there. I think maybe I should have orbited maybe 2,500 or something like that instead. And so I go back there again to fight the Crow again. I think I can win this time if I just if I actually launch my drones for one, and also if I mean the thing I had in the other fight that I think I could have done differently is have explosive damage loaded. I think if I had fusion loaded, then because I knew he was armor rep, so by doing explosive damage, I'm sort of lowering his effective HP that he can rep with the auxiliary repper. So I warp to a gate where he was, but he's not here anymore. So I just kind of wait for him. I debate warping to the other gate, but then I see him on scanner, so I stop my shit. I know he's really eager to fight me because he's beaten me before 2 times now. Basically, the other time was kind of with help, but he pretty much soloed me the second time. So he lands on the gate at 0, but then he burns for me. It's pretty eager, and this is actually I think one of the points that really helps me in the fight is he actually burns towards me. So he's losing quite a lot of capacitor by doing this. Like, he's going to spend about 3 cycles of micro warp drive to get in here. So this time I actually launch my drones. I've got explosive damage loaded. And we start the fight again. I'm kind of debating whether or not I should orbit this time, or if I should use keep at range, and I'm looking at my damage just to make sure it doesn't seem like it's falling off. So I decide that maybe I should just keep orbiting. I don't know how much actual damage I'm mitigating by doing this. And I decided, I might as well just keep at range here and try to do as much damage as possible. I think I should have kept orbiting, to be honest. But yeah, I actually end up killing him this time. But it's really super close, as you can see. Like, my ASP's on reload. I'm in 60% structure, which for Heron is like 173 HP. I think that's a good example of using mobile depots to refit. Here's a few other fights that I had in the Heron. I actually lose this fight against the Condor. So again, I think maybe I'm wrong by doing this, by using keep at range. But what's sort of really going through my mind is, if I orbit, am I going to hurt my own tracking? I mean, maybe I shouldn't. I don't think so. Especially against a shield Condor, maybe. I think I'm probably wrong here. And part of me also thinks that the Heron has such a massive signature radius. It has 43 MSig base, which is it's one of the largest frigates in the game, basically. And I'm kind of, but this con doesn't actually have a web, so I think maybe I could have mitigated his damage by orbiting him instead. So I die there, and I think maybe I could have won that fight as well if I refit to Afterburner and refit to yeah, and this is a fight against the Crusader, and again, my sort of logic here is that if I use optimal range tracking disruptor on him, he's just going to load Scorch, and he's still going to be able to hit me pretty well. And so I figured my best chance is to orbit him, get a tight orbit on him and use the tracking script. But the Crusader actually gets a tracking bonus, and you can see he's actually using Scorch at this point. But the Heron, as I mentioned before, has a massive signature radius, and this is where he refits to Imperial Navy frequency. He's still missing the odd shot, as you can see, but it's just not enough, and he kills me. Maybe if I had an Afterburner, I would have been able to control that a lot better. This is sort of the final, the finale. So there's a bunch of stuff in this system, and they're actually looking for me. They've got probes out for me, and there's about 7 ships on the station, I believe. Well, Well, there's 5, but I think there's 7 ships around. One of the interesting things here is there's a Tyrannus, and that's what I refit to kill. I basically just refit the Michael Warpdrive to an afterburner, and that just means I'll be able to control him, because I'm going to have AB Scram Web, and he's just going to have Michael Warpdrive Web. So I'll have the afterburner speed boost over him, and then I've got a tracking disruptor as well. So theoretically, if I can keep it at 5 kilometers, he should only be doing about 10% of his DPS to me, plus his 2 drones. So this works out really well. The Tyrannus follows me, and doesn't look like anything else does, which is great news for me. So I orbit him at 5 kilometers, overload everything. I really should have. I didn't actually have barrage in my Heron, in any of the Herons, but what I think I should have done is loaded barrage here if I had it. But fusion is fine. I'm going to still do a reasonable amount of DPS to him. And I make a mistake here, is I'm overloading the Scram and the Web, which I completely don't need to. And it ends up burning out my afterburner. At this point I was really worried that he's going to have range control on me. As you can see, it starts doing a lot of damage to me at this point. Well, a decent amount of damage. I'm able to get rid of his auxiliary rep and kill him. And this is really interesting to me. I just wanted to... it's not really a guide for the Heron. I just want to talk about sort of mobile depots and refitting in space. And the Heron is a ship that's not really intended for PvP. It's an exploration ship, and I think that's one of the strengths of the Heron. Is that just a lot of people just will engage a Heron upright. They won't really think about it. Flying this Heron, I got so much more fights than I did flying any other scepter, just because everything's just super eager to engage. They think you're an explorer, or even if you are in a PvP fit, the Heron's pretty vulnerable.